Hello everyone, this is Paper Plastic Cardboard. I am the other Josh, and today I'd like to talk to you about Root, designed by Cole Worley and published by Leader Games. Now, it is the spring of 2022, and I would like to specifically talk about the Marauder expansion, which Leader Games is currently fulfilling. Specifically, I want to talk about how to box up and store the Marauder expansion. It's a conversation I've seen on Board Game Geek and a couple of other places. I'm going to take you down to a better view than this, show you how I organize it, show you a way that Cole Worley talked about organizing everything, and just give you an idea of how you can store everything based on just boxes you might already have if you have any of the expansions for Root. So let's go down to the table.
All right, everybody. So what I've got here are the three boxes that I use to organize, store my Root game. I have all of the expansions. I have the base game, and off camera, I also have the Riverfolk expansion, the Underworld expansion, the Clockwork expansion, which I'm not including in this video. And then I have the Marauder expansion here, along with all of the Hirelings in the Hireling box here. This was a Kickstarter that I backed like over a year ago, arrived a little while ago. And I'm going to show you two ways of kind of storing everything. The first way I'm going to show you is kind of the Cole Worley recommended way that he talked about in a designer chat in the last couple months. I'll put a link to that in the video description below. And then I'll show you the way I had everything stored before I saw that. Either way works. You can store this really any way you want, but this is a couple of different ways that I found helpful. So let's start with the Hireling box. And it's interesting that Cole says he likes to start here. And if you pack it this way, you can kind of start kind of save everything up in your game, decide what you have, decide what you want to play with, and then just pick out what you need from the other two boxes later. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so we can see. So I'm going to set that to the side. And this is how I have it set up. Cole even mentions that it's going to be a little bit tight when packing everything in here, and part of the reason I'm doing this video is so that you can see it definitely is sort of tight. But I'm going to show you how I managed to get everything in here. There might need to be some jiggling. But yeah, so right on top I have the advanced setup cards, and then also the Hireling rules. And in this I will show you real quick here. The bigger advanced setup aid, because it is a longer card and it won't fit in with these ones. So it fits in well with the rest of the Hireling cards. So those sit on top. But then everything else I have set in a pretty specific way. I have the Ruin items, all kind of in one little baggie. I have starting craftable items, which is at the top of the board, in another little bag, because for some games you're going to need both. Sometimes you're just going to need the Ruin tokens. You're going to always need these, which is why I've kind of separated them out. I have both sets of dice in here. And then I have both decks of cards. So Exiles and Parsons decks nicely stays in its own little box there. But then I took the Vagabond pack box, and I was just able to put the base deck in there. And it fits quite well, and I like it. I had it in a bag earlier, but then I realized it fit in here, and I keep all of my boxes and inserts for stuff like this, so I had it when I needed it. Everything else I'm going to kind of dump out here, and then we'll go by piece how I have everything stored in here. So now we have an empty box. First thing I like to stick on the bottom is all of the landmarks. So I managed to get all of the landmarks in one bag. I have a plethora of bags. I'm kind of a bag hoarder, and so I always have bags. And so I have all of the different landmark cards in here. I included the raft and the tower, which came as part of the Marauder expansion. Sorry there. And then all of the new landmarks from the landmark pack, which, because I have the landmark pack, I didn't get the landmark pack box. Maybe I did. Yeah, I think I did. So that's the first thing I put in there. And then I'm going to put out my resin markers. This'll, if you don't have these and you just have the cardboard ones, it'll make your life a little bit easier because that's kind of that extra bit of odd space. But I'm going to put those right in there as well. The mountain path tokens, I'm going to set right on top of there. And you can do this in any way. There's no right or wrong way to do this. This is just kind of how I have everything set up. I'm going to stick both of my decks right in the corner here, like so. So you can kind of see that. And then I'm going to put my dice right above that. And that kind of shows you the space you have to work with to put everything else in. So I'm going to take some of our tiniest pieces and fit them in this kind of middle trench here. So we've only got a few little hirelings in the die that kind of fit nicely there. Again, like I said, our eerie guys will fit right there. Maybe let's fit some of these bigger ones in here. There's our marquee guys, and our Lord of Hundreds hirelings will fit in there nicely. Next, I'm going to put in our. These are maybe my favorite miniatures in the entire game. The Vagabond hireling, the bear, the hirelings for the river folk, and then the protector. I absolutely love those miniatures. And I have them all kind of lumped together because I had a bigger bag, and they all fit together quite nicely. Then we have our hireling pieces, so the hireling die. And then each of the markers for when you can get the hirelings, as well as the tokens that go with the hirelings. I'm kind of nuzzle them up there. Then we have our little lizard cult friends. Corvid conspiracy up there. Let's see if we can't. This takes a bit of convincing. Cole said that this is a fit tight. And having done this enough times, I can tell you that it is indeed a bit of a fit tight. So I'm just going to move. Again, it depends how you have your kind of your bags folding over one another. And then we're going to put our little band up there. So you can kind of see everything there. Then I'm going to take our tokens for our items. I'm going to tuck them up here, which leaves kind of a space. I like having a flat space to be able to put our cards. And I like having them right at the top because that's one of the first things we're going to be using. And then, if we've done this correctly, which it looks like we kind of have, tuck the box back together, the lid on the box, and everything fits together. I don't even have to press to keep that all together, which is how I want it. And then, so I'm going to zoom out again. I'm going to show you what I have in each of the base boxes. So we're going to put that to the side. We're going to come back to it in a minute. But in the base box, I have all this stuff. So this is for the first expansion. This is for the base game, the first expansion. I'll unpack everything really quick here. And then show you how I have it all packed in here. When I shot a test video, this didn't come out well, so oh, there we go. It came out better this time. So first thing I have actually, sorry that my camera keeps moving. I don't have the best camera set up. I'm gonna set these to the side. I actually have a printout of the Law of Roots, so this is the most recent one, the September 8th, and I have the printed copy in the Marauder expansion here, but I just keep it printed. That I printed out in the bottom of the box in case I need to. Then I have the fall and winter map, which goes on top like that. And then I have these stacked based on their letter setup. So we have the Marquis, and then the Erie Dynasty, Woodland Alliance, both of the Vagabond playmats, the Lizard Cult, and then finally the River Folk Company. So I just stack all those on there. And those tuck right in there. Sorry, I'm moving the camera again. Next, I have the Learn to Plays. I don't know that I would use these a whole lot, but I like having them just in case I ever decide to. We have the River Folk store card holder. Then I have all of the cards in one bag. So these aren't the playing cards. These are kind of the extra cards. So these are the overview cards. These are the Eerie leaders, the Eerie loyal viziers. Overview. These are all of the vagabonds, different vagabonds in here. You can see all of the quests for the vagabonds, and then overview cards for other players for the 4 base factions, which I don't know in more recent printings if there's more overview cards. But I know in the printing that I originally had, there was overview cards for each player, so they knew how each of the base factions worked. And then I'm just gonna kind of tuck everything in here. So we have, and at first I always have to do everything like how it's done alphabetically, how setup is done alphabetically. That's just something weird in my head. And then in each of these bags I have the warriors as well as any cardboard tokens. I know there are things that you can get printed off of places like Thingiverse if you have like a 3D printer, and print out little trays that keep everything, which would be cool. I don't have a 3D printer. I kind of know a guy who knows a guy who has a 3D printer, but I'm a fiend. I think I might have even said this already. I'm a fiend for bags, so that's how I have everything set up for that. I'm going to leave that open for right now. And then I have everything else in the Marauder box. I always keep everything in the most recent expansion box that I have. And so up until the point where I got the Marauder expansion, I had everything in the Underworld expansion box. And that was I had the Riverfolk expansion and the Underworld expansion in the Underworld box. But now I have the Riverfolk expansion with the base box, and I have the latest 2 expansions in here. And so much like the other one, I have all of the cards here. So we have all our Duchy friends, overview, Lord of the 100 mood cards are all in here. And then the Faithful Retainers for the Keepers in Iron, all in one convenient location. And I'll give you an idea. I'll take out, and this is much the same as the other one. However, this one I keep I'll show you, there's one difference here. So I keep the lake and mountain board on the bottom here. Again, however you want. And then I'm going to have these in alphabetical order, how setup goes. So Underground Duchy, Corbett Conspiracy, Lord of the Hundreds, and finally the Keepers in Iron. That goes there. I keep this Law of Root, the one that came with the game, on top. The reason I keep it in the Marauder box is because I figure my friends are going to want to play the newer stuff, probably more than maybe the base stuff. I'm still always thinking I'm probably going to have to go into both boxes, but it's in the newer box just because. And then we just tuck away. Not going to mess this up. Oh, no, there we go. And everything fits thusly. So now I'm going to show you, while I have these open, how I did my initial setup when I got all of this. And it's quite simple, actually. So I'm going to move these to the side, and I'm going to open this box. So we're going to keep the advanced setup cards and the hireling rules. Here we're going to take out the starting items. So the rune items and the craftable items. We're actually going to put those in there. We have 2 sets of dice. We're going to put 1 set of dice that came with the Underworld expansion and with the Underworld base dice and with the base game. Then we have the 2 decks of cards. We're going to put Exiles and Partisans in the expansion box, and we're going to put, sorry, this is a lot to do all at once while trying to film at the same time. You just want everything in here. I like to keep the items by the vagabonds because that's who they go with. And then in this box, it clears up a little more room, so it's not quite as tight of a fit. That goes on. You don't have to really worry so much. That goes on like that. This goes on here. And I figure most of the time you're going to have to open all 3 boxes anyway. This is just kind of how I had everything set up when I first got the Marauder expansion. And so, yeah, just a couple of different ideas. You can kind of do it however you want. And like I said, I only have the original Clockwork expansion. I don't have the newer ones. And so I'm sure most of those would fit in one of these probably. But I don't really play with them. And so that's when I want to go to game night with Root. This is what I take, are these 3 boxes here. Yeah, let's go up top and I'll have some a few more things to say and we'll carry on. Oops, sorry.
All right, so that was just a few ideas of how to store Root. This is kind of the way that I have found most efficient, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. If you want to pack each of the expansions in its own boxes and then carry around those boxes and be able to show off Kyle Farron's fantastic artwork to everyone, go ahead and do that. You have every right to do that. If you have more space-saving, efficient ways to do that, maybe you have, like I said earlier, a 3D printer or something like that, go for it. Find something that works for you and have fun with it. That's what this hobby is all about. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you again soon.